is okay because I have connected my headphone.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
So let's start. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
We can start then. So in yesterday's session, what we have done, so we just started with the introduction, like what is cloud computing, what is on-premises scenario, why there is a need of on-premises scenario in the company. Like we discussed about the traditional infrastructure before cloud. If any company is not on cloud infrastructure, then how they are going to operate their businesses? What is their current infrastructure scenario? So that is called on-premises. Then we discussed about the limitation of on-premises scenario, like why companies are moving towards cloud computing. So what are the limitations? We discussed that. Like we discussed that in the on-premises, there is an involvement of capital and operational expenditure. So we have to invest a lot in order to procure the devices, the network devices, the physical servers, the cabling, the security equipments and all. And time to time, we have to invest in operational expenditure as well. Like we have to invest in salaries of the employee, we have to invest in electricity maintenance, the hardware maintenance, the compliance part, the software upgradation. So everything is directly proportionate to cost. Somehow everything, whatever we are doing in terms of capital and operational expenditure, so somehow the cost is involved. Then we discussed that in the on-premises scenario, there is no cost prediction analysis. Means I don't know in future, if I operate 100 servers, then I don't know how much cost I will have to bear. I cannot predict that. Then we discussed that in the on-premises scenario, there is no scalability. Scalability means as per the requirement, we cannot increase or decrease the resources. In case all of a sudden we need 100 of servers, we cannot increase that. In case we want to decrease the number of servers all of a sudden, again we cannot do that. Then we discussed that patching is a problem in the on-premises scenario. If we want to do any patching of multiple servers, then that is going to be overhead for the company. Then we discussed that on-premises scenario is not reliable because that's a hardware in our company. So there can be chances that when the hardware can go down due to any outage, due to any reason, and that is directly going to impact my server. That is going to impact my production. Then latency can be issue with the on-premises scenario. Latency means if there is a huge distance involved with the data center and with the user, then there can be slowness issues to access the sites or to access the servers. Then in the on-premises scenario, the company has to take care of compliance requirement. Means whatever audit, whatever regulatory compliance, whatever patching activity has to be done, so that will be taken care by the organization itself. So these were the limitations that we discussed. Due to this limitation, cloud computing got invented in the market. So cloud came in the market. AWS was the leader. Amazon Web Services was the first leader in the market who introduced the concept of cloud computing. With the help of cloud computing, now it was possible that whatever we need in order to operate our IT infrastructure, whatever IT infrastructure we require, whether it is server, whether it is database, whether it is switches, whether it is networking, security, whatever, we can take it on rent. We don't have to set up our own physical on-premises infrastructure. We can go to the cloud service provider. We can take the services on rent, and we only have to pay for whatever we use. Cloud services works on pay as you go model. Means whatever we will use, we will only pay for that. If I am using any server for 2 minutes, then I will pay for 2 minutes only. If I am using it for 24 hours, then I will pay for 24 hours only. So that was the advantage of cloud computing. Due to this, now business is operating in a good manner. There are a lot of benefits of having the infrastructure on cloud. So whatever was the limitation in the on-premises, these limitations have now become the benefit in cloud. Cloud is cost effective. We don't have to invest in any kind of capex. Now we don't have to purchase any hardware in the company, no servers, no network devices. it is up to you. So you can say that there is zero investment in terms of capex. Operational cost has somehow reduced because the engineering ratio has been reduced in the company since we don't have any physical infrastructure. So there is no maintenance cost, there is no electricity extension charges, there is no air conditioning charges. Then cost prediction analysis is there in cloud, means you can predict the cost. You can check on the portal that in future, if I use any server or if I use any service on the cloud, then how much cost I will bear. So you can predict your cost through the cloud portal. Then scalability is the biggest benefit in the cloud, means whatever is your requirement, as per your requirement, you can increase or decrease the servers. Then whatever patching has to be done, whatever updation, whatever maintenance has to be done, that will be handled by the cloud service provider, just like AWS and Azure. Cloud is reliable. We have discussed that. It is reliable. If any hardware goes down, then it is the responsibility of cloud vendor, just like it is the responsibility of AWS to take care of that downtime. Cloud has global presence. It has multiple data center throughout the world. So latency problem will not be there. Wherever our users are existing, we can host our resources in that particular country. And this is going to solve the slowness issue. Then on-demand self-services. On-demand self-services means whatever we need, whatever resource we need, like we need servers, we need any networking, so it can get ready in few minutes. Within 5 to 6 minutes, the infrastructure can get ready. So we don't have to wait. In the on-premises scenario, we have to wait. We will purchase the server first. We will install the operating system. We will do the networking. We will apply the security. We will configure it. Then we can use it. But in the cloud, the infrastructure can get ready in few minutes. So no need to wait for physical infrastructure setup. Then we discussed that in the cloud, you will get redundancy. Redundancy means it has multiple site location. So if one data center goes down, then still we will have the backup available in different country. Then cloud is helping us in the cost reduction. Whatever operational expenditure, whatever capex is there, so it is helping us to reduce that. Because with the help of cloud, we can save our capital expenditure. Now we don't have to purchase any hardware. We can save our operational part as well, because we are not maintaining any cooling. Staff has been reduced, so we can better utilize the services. Compliance part, we don't have to take care of any compliance part in the cloud. The vendor is going to take care of that guidelines. And the benefit, the biggest benefit one is it works on pay as you go model. So whatever we will use, we will only pay for that. So these were the benefit that we had discussed yesterday. Then we were discussing about the types of cloud computing. Types means there are two categories of cloud functioning. The first one is service delivery, means how the cloud vendors deliver you the services. So they deliver you the services in three formats: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service, SaaS. Then the another type is deployment model. Deployment model means how you can set up the cloud in your organization. So you can set up the cloud as a public cloud, as a private cloud, or as a hybrid cloud. Then we discussed about type of service delivery model, which is IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, which was this. So we discussed that in the IaaS, in the infrastructure as a service, the cloud vendor is going to handle the infrastructure part, means the networking, the storage, the physical servers, and their virtualization is going to taken care by the cloud vendor. Rest of the things will be managed by my company. Then we discussed that in PaaS, if we take the PaaS services from the cloud vendor, then we will have to manage the, like the cloud vendor is going to manage the infrastructure plus operating system. They will also install the operating system for you, plus the platform, just like SQL Server. If you need SQL, if you need Visual Basic, if you need any platform for coding, so they are going to provide it to you, and they will also manage that platform for you. So your company will only take care of software and coding. Then if we have taken SaaS services from the cloud vendor, then in the SaaS services, everything from networking, physical storage, physical server, virtualization, OS, platform, and application, everything will be managed by the cloud service provider. So the example of SaaS services, Salesforce and Office 365, we can access that through cloud vendor over the internet. And these two is used in the organization as per the demand of business. So this was something that we discussed yesterday. Is there any doubt, any question from this segment? Anything?
No. No, sir.
So it is clear for everyone, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then let's proceed further. So this was the cloud service model, and it is not only applicable to AWS. This is a generic model. It applies to every cloud, whether it is AWS, Azure, GCP, Alibaba, Oracle OCI, whatever cloud is existing in the market, this is their service model. This is how cloud service providers are providing the services. So whatever cloud you use in the company, it doesn't matter. This type of services are going to remain same. Means the cloud model is going to be same and the deployment model is also same, whether you will use any cloud. Now, since we have concluded our service delivery model, now we know that we can get the cloud in three format. We can get IaaS from the vendor, means IaaS from AWS. We can get PaaS from AWS, and we can get SaaS from AWS. So most of the organization takes infrastructure services from the cloud vendor. Some of the organization who are into development for their software development task, they also go with the PaaS, just like Docker, Kubernetes. These are the example of PaaS services. Kubernetes is for cluster. In the later on classes, I will discuss about that also. And few organization who only require Office 365, Salesforce, and different HRIS kind of application, ticketing tool application on the cloud. So they take SaaS services. But in the production scenario, mostly you will see IaaS and PaaS. And you guys will be hired to manage IaaS and PaaS. Initially, you will be managing the infrastructure as a service and some of the services of PaaS. But as you grow in the cloud field, then you will be managing the PaaS on the advanced level. Means you will have to manage Docker, Kubernetes, OpenShift cluster, ACI clusters. So here the money is very high, but this is your future. Now let's discuss about the deployment model. So you can deploy the cloud in three formats in any company. Any company can take public cloud, they can set up private cloud in their company, and they can set up hybrid environment in their company. So let's discuss what is public, private, and hybrid. So when we talk about, let's discuss with the public cloud first. So when we talk about public cloud, so what is public cloud? So in the public cloud, the cloud service providers, cloud service provider means cloud service provider means your AWS. This is one of the cloud service provider which is giving you the cloud facility. Your Azure, it is also one of the cloud service provider, your GCP, etc. There are a lot. So in the public cloud environment, what happens is, suppose I am the company, suppose I am Wipro. I will connect with the cloud service provider. I will go to the cloud service vendor and I will say that I want to host my infrastructure on cloud. Means currently I am Wipro. I have my infrastructure. I have my IT infrastructure because I am into business since last 50 years. Since last 50, 55 years, I am into business. So I have my infrastructure, but that is traditional. That is on premises. Now, looking at the advantage of cloud, I want to migrate. I want to migrate my on premises to cloud environment. Means whatever I am using on premises, I want to shift it to cloud. I don't want to use on premises. I will shift it to cloud, and suppose I will shift it to AWS. I will use AWS. I don't want to go with Azure and GCP. I will stick with the AWS. So whatever I have, suppose I have thousands of servers, 200 network devices, 1200 application, 15 firewall, 10 VPN. So I want to migrate all the infrastructure on cloud. And if we talk about public cloud, so what is public cloud now? So in the public cloud, the company is going to host every infrastructure on cloud platform, just like AWS. In AWS, the infrastructure will be created, and through the internet connection, the company would be able to access it. Suppose I have created 500 servers on cloud platform, on AWS platform. Now through the internet connection, I will access that 500 servers. It means you are using, the Wipro is using the infrastructure of AWS on rental basis, on pay as you go model. Whatever use, pay for it. So that is called public cloud. So in the public cloud, the infrastructure, the company is using the infrastructure of a different company. Different company means the cloud company. The cloud company is giving you the infrastructure on rent, on pay as you go model. Whatever you want to use it and pay for it. So your complete infrastructure will be created on their data center. And what is their data center? So as I have told you yesterday, that the biggest cloud service provider have a physical data center. They have the on-premises data center, and through that on-premises, they are sharing you the services via internet. They have a huge, massive data center. Whatever you need, you can take it from them on the rent. All you need is a internet connection. Through internet, you can access the services. So that is public cloud. So in the public cloud environment, what happens is, in the public cloud environment, the companies are using the platform which is shared by different organization. What is different organization? That is cloud service provider like AWS, Azure, GCP. They are sharing you their infrastructure on rent. So the complete control on the infrastructure in terms of hardware, in terms of data center, it lies with the cloud vendor, because you are using their infrastructure. So the entire control is given to that organization. You will have the control, but the actual control of the hardware will be managed by the cloud vendor. Just like, take an example that you take a rent, you just rent a particular apartment. You need a house on rent. So the owner, the tenant of that house is the actual controller of your house, and you are just paying the rent. So you are using their services, but you are not the actual owner of that particular infrastructure. The actual owner is the room owner, the house owner. So similarly, the infrastructure owner is your AWS, but you, the company, is using their resources and they are paying the rent. So in the public cloud environment, the companies are accessing the resources from cloud service provider by using the internet connection. And whatever they will use, they will only pay for it. That's the public cloud. So AWS, Azure, GCP, these are the example of public cloud. And when we specifically talk about public cloud, so these are the public cloud in market: Azure, AWS, GCP, IBM Cloud, Alibaba Cloud, Salesforce Cloud, Oracle Cloud, Cloud Sigma, EUK Host, Rackspace, VMware, Grid, Firehose, HP, Single Hope. So these are the example of public cloud. In the market, these are the vendor for public cloud services. The top three players are AWS, Azure, and GCP. These three are the top three players. Rest are very low. Like some company uses IBM Cloud in very low level. Like in IBM, you will see some of the database are created on IBM Cloud as well. IBM is hosted on Azure, Their complete infrastructure is hosted on Azure right now, but there are some database which is running on IBM cloud as well. So company can use multiple cloud depending upon their business need. So these all are the cloud, the public cloud example, but depends what cloud is being used. So these three are the top leader, rest are very small players. Rackspace is also one of the public cloud. Even this is one of the company. It is there in Gurgaon and it is Germany based organization. It also hires the employee to manage the Azure, to manage the AWS and to manage their own cloud, which is Rackspace. If you look at the share, if you look at the current share of every cloud, suppose current market share of AWS, then every year, every quarter, every cloud service provider release their report. So 2023 report is still pending because we have not completed the quarter, because it will be released by quarter. So Jan, Feb, March is the first quarter. It means the first quarter report of cloud vendor in 2023 will be released in April or May after completing the March. So this is the report of last year. In the last year, fourth quarter means last quarter, which is October, November, December. So the what was the current share? So AWS has 32% share in till the December of 2022. Azure had 23% share and Google had 10% share. So still AWS is the leader in market and Azure is behind 10%. And GCP is very less. It has very less share in the market. So AWS is still leading. Why AWS is still leading? There is a reason, because it was the first cloud. So when it got introduced, there was no other cloud in the market. So most of the company has adopted. They had already adopted AWS. And if their infrastructure is on AWS, so it is very difficult to again migrate the services to different cloud. Suppose I am already running on AWS, my complete infrastructure is on AWS. Now, if I plan that I will use Azure in future, so it would be very difficult for me to migrate the entire infrastructure to Azure, because again, that will be cost. There is a cost involved. I will have to pay to the Azure again. Then I will have to start the migration from AWS to Azure. So this is going to be a time consuming process, and it is also going to be a costly process. So that's why the company who are already hosted on AWS platform, they are still continuing on AWS. And that's the reason, since it was the first market player in the world, it has a lot of shares. That is the reason. And the second reason is it is open source, like it is more compatible with the open source. Open source means in the Linux, when you talk about Linux and Unix, so there are a lot of applications, there are a lot of operating system which is developed by the community. Just like Linux is one of the open source operating system. When we talk about open source operating system, just like Linux, so in the open source operating system, you don't have to pay for any license cost. Means you don't purchase that. It is freely available. Open source means freely available. If we talk about Windows, so in Windows, we have to pay to the Microsoft. Suppose I want to buy Windows 10 operating system, so I will have to pay the licensing fees to Microsoft. Even in company, suppose I have 2000 devices and on 2000 devices, I want to use Windows 11. So I will have to pay the price of 2000 devices. And whenever Microsoft change the operating system, just like suppose in future, they change Windows 11 or they come up with Windows 12. Then if we plan to upgrade, then again, we will have to pay the cost. So every year we have to pay the licensing cost to the Microsoft. So that is costly. But when we talk about Linux, so Linux is an open source operating system. It is freely available. Freely available means you can just go to the Linux site and you can download it. You don't have to pay any charges to the company. There is no licensing cost. If you want to use 200 operating system of Linux, you don't have to pay a single penny. It is freely available. Just go register on the site, download the operating system and use it. So that's the open source. The second advantage of open source operating system and application is you can modify the code every time. This is the actual technical advantage. Modify the source code. Now, what is source code? So whenever we create, like whenever the developer of the company, the software developer, whenever they create any operating system or software is called application. These two are created by the developer. It is the duty of software developer to create the applications and the softwares. So softwares, let me correct the spelling. So softwares are known as system software, like operating system is known as system software, and application, that is your general software. So these two things are created by the software developer. So whenever they write the code, because if you want to create any software, you will have to write the code. You will have to do the coding. The coding can be in any language. It can be on C, C#, .NET, Python, Ruby, Golang, JavaScript, so whatever. So it can be written in any language. So they will write the code and they will develop the software. Now, for every software, there is a source code. A source code is associated with every software and every application. Whatever code I am writing, there will be a source code. Now, what is that source code? Suppose that software team has created Windows 10 operating system. There is a Windows 10 operating system which got developed by Microsoft software team. Now, once this software is created, it will launch in the market. It will launch in the market to the user, and user will use it. The companies will use it. But before launching it to the market, they do the testing. Like the company does the testing of these softwares. So for that, there is a testing team in company. There is a software development testing team. So what testing team does, they test each and every application from scratch. They check each and every function, whether the click is working or not, whether this particular window, once I click on this window, whether it is opening or not, what is the user experience, what is bug, what is lacking in terms of performance. So they are going to check everything. And if there is any change required, suppose testing team says that, okay, there is a problem in this particular window 10. This click is not working. When we click on window, so it is not giving the good performance. So this was the feedback. Suppose this was the feedback by the testing team. Now, in order to improve that service, again, the developer is going to edit the code from the backend. So how they are going to edit it? So for that, there is a source code. Through that source code, they are going to enter into the application and they are going to do the modification. With the help of source code, you can change everything in the software. You can change the entire application. You can change the entire window. Even if you have the source code, you can change the window 10 name. You can give your name. Suppose I have the source code access. I will go to window 10. I am the developer. I will change the window 10 name. I will write my name on it. If I want to change this logo, this start logo, I can change it because I have the source code to enter into software. So source code is very critical thing. It is the entry gate to enter into any kind of software. Now, when we talk about Microsoft, so Microsoft does not provide the source code with their window and with their software. Like when we talk about MS Office, so MS Office is the product of Microsoft. When we talk about Windows, it is the product of Microsoft. So they are not going to reveal the source code to anyone. Because if they will reveal it, then the best developer in the world, they can change the software. They can add anything. Whatever new feature they want to add, they can modify because they have the entry gate. They can enter into this window, they can change it. So source code is restricted in Microsoft operating system. That's why it is called closed source. Microsoft Windows is known as closed source operating system, closed source. But when we talk about Linux, Linux is open source. Now, what is open source? So in the open source, the developer of Linux are freely going to give you the code. They will give you the access code. They will give you the source code. Source code is freely available in the internet. Means you have the full control of Linux operating system. What Linux says that this is my source code. Through this code, I have created the Linux. If you have the guts, if everyone in the world have the guts, just enter into the source code and modify the operating system. And if you have that power, just change the name of Linux and just give your name. You can do that. So Linux community is going to give you the free challenge. They are giving the free challenge in the world that if you have the guts, this is the source code of my operating system. Just take it, do whatever you want to do with the Linux. We are not going to file any complaint against you. And that's the reason you might have heard that there are different kind of Linux in the world: Ubuntu, Kali, Backtrack, CentOS, Android, Mint, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, etc. These are the type of Linux, right?
Yes,
Why?
sir.
Why? Because Linux freely provide the source code to the world. If I am a best developer in the world, suppose I am the best developer, I have the source code access, I can enter into the Linux, I can change the code and I can create a new copy. Ubuntu was created by one of the hacker. Kali was invented by one of the hacker. Backtrack was invented by one of the hacker. CentOS was created by one of the open source college community. There were college students who were doing some project in the US. They were the software developer. They were doing some project and they developed CentOS because Linux is freely distributing the source code. If you have the source code, you can create the copy. If someone knows the Windows source code, then suppose I have a lot of money. If I know the Windows code, I will create the copy of Windows and I will share it in the market in the less prices. That will look same like Microsoft. And everyone is going to purchase with me because I will offer it in the less prices. That's the reason Microsoft does not reveal the source code. That is closed source operating system. Means you don't know the source code, but Linux freely distribute the source code. They say that if you have the gut, just change it. Do anything. Just change the color of Linux. Just change the background. They are freely giving you the challenge. And most of the people have done it. That's why these kind of flavors got invented in the market. That's the reason there are a lot of Linux. There are around 32 flavors of Linux in the world. 32 flavors developed by different community in the company. But in the company, what Linux is used, it is this one, RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. This is used in the actual company, in the real production. These are the Linux which got developed by the community, means hackers, programmers, students. So they have different kind of Linux for their own work. Even the owner of Facebook, Mr. Mark Zuckerberg, he was also the member of Backtrack creation. It was invented for hacking. So during the project of Backtrack, Mark Zuckerberg was also the part of this team. Even one of the C language creator, the creator who has created C language in the world, Dennis Ritchie. So Dennis Ritchie was the creator of C language and he has created one of the Unix code. Unix is also the extension of Linux. Earlier it used to be Unix, then it got changed as Linux. So Unix was written by a team, and Dennis Ritchie was one of the founder of C language who has written the code of Unix. That time the Unix name was UNICS. So Linux is an open source community. You can do anything. The source code is available. On the internet, it is available. That's the reason it is free, because a lot of people have created the copy. Even this is also free. Red Hat Enterprise Linux is used in the company and it is also free. They are not charging you anything. You can freely download it. That is real. That is real one. That is not pirated. That is valid for lifetime. But Windows is not free. You have to pay the licensing fees. And since AWS is more centric to Linux community, that's the reason it has a lot of share. Still, it has a lot of share. That's the reason. Because when we talk about secure servers in the world, the secure servers and the development servers in the world, that is based on Linux. When you go to the company, when you will work on the platform, so you will see there are mix up of server. It is not something that companies only using Microsoft, they are using mix. Mix means some servers will be on Microsoft, some servers will be on Linux. The developer who write the code, the developer who create the softwares in company, they work on Linux. The database of most of the company is on Linux platform, because Linux is highly secure. It is very secure. Even they have disclosed the source code as well, but still no one can hack the Linux very easily, because Linux is created by the world's best hacker, Linus Torvald, the creator of Linux. He was the world's top 10 hacker. So that's why it is very secure. It is not something that it is command based. That's why it is secure. That is a myth. Windows is also command based. When you go to Windows server, so there is an addition which is called core addition. That is called PowerShell extension. So Windows is also command based nowadays, but Windows can be attacked, but Linux cannot, because Linux is, you can say Linux is created by the hacker and it uses different extension. Different extension means it does not support exe. And in exe, the virus can be exist. Exe is only supported by Windows. Linux does not support exe. It supports RPM extension. It will not allow you to install exe software. So through this reason, Linux is highly secure operating system in the world. That is the actual reason. And since AWS is more compatible, it is very much compatible with the Linux services. That's why it has a lot of market share, because Linux is freely available. So most of the company, which is small, which is big, which is medium size, they rely on Linux. And that's the reason they prefer AWS. So AWS is good for every kind of company. But when we talk about Azure, so Azure cannot be a good choice of the startup. In the startup organization, Azure is not good, because again, you will have to invest in Windows server environment. You will have to pay the licensing cost to the Microsoft. So there is a charge involved, but Linux is free. So most of the startup company who are into software development business, they are relying on Linux. That's why they are choosing AWS. Even since it is a first cloud, so most of the big multinational companies have also adopted it, and it is economical. It is cheaper. The resource cost is cheap as compared to Azure. Why? Because it was the first cloud. So till now, it has improved a lot. It has improved a lot. Whatever new cloud will enter into the market, they will have to take some time in order to improve their services. But since it is already there in the market since long time, so it has already improved a lot. So that's why it is providing the services in cheap rates, in economical rates. That's the reason AWS is the preferred choice. Now, we were discussing that which cloud holds the highest market share. So it was AWS. Why it holds the highest market share? So I told you the reason. that it is more centric to Linux community, the open source community. So it is compatible with anything. It can work with Windows as well, but it is primarily very much secure with the Linux. Just like Azure is very much secure, very much compatible with the Windows, but Linux is also supported there. Here, AWS is very much compatible with the Linux platform, but Windows is also supported there. So the current, as per the last year's report, this is the current market share. Once this year's report will be released, then there can be changes in this. Maybe it will increase or maybe it will decrease, but still it will be number one because of the first mover advantage. So these are the name of public cloud which is existing in the market. You can access any of the cloud from any of the vendor by using the internet connection. You have to take the subscription, you can access the account, and whatever infrastructure you want to host, you can do that. So we will focus on AWS in our curriculum because we are enrolled for AWS course. So we will focus on this one, not another one. And let's discuss about it. So we have discussed what is public cloud. So these are the examples of public cloud. These are the name of public cloud. Now let's go to private cloud. What is private cloud now? What is this private cloud? So in earlier days, when we talk about on-premises scenario, now let's understand, just try to focus on this. When we talk about on-premises scenario, so during on-premises scenario, what we had to do in order to set up the IT infra, we have to invest in physical devices, physical servers, physical routers, physical networking device, switch, everything that was physical. Suppose I need 50 servers. Yesterday, I told you about the types of server, rack server, blade server, tower server. Suppose I had purchased 50 blade servers because I am a huge organization. I am a big organization, suppose. So in earlier days, I'm talking about the earlier days, what used to happen, you have the 50 servers. On every server, you will install operating system. It can be Windows server or it can be Linux, depending upon the company requirement. Suppose you have installed Windows on 30 servers and on 20 servers, you have installed Linux. Now you can, since you have one single server and in total you have 50 server, so it means you can only create 50 type of services. 50 type of services means on a single server, you can only run one service. Suppose you have created one DHCP server. So a complete hardware will be used for DHCP. On another server, suppose you have created DNS. So another hardware will be used for DNS. Suppose you have created domain controller. So the third server will be used for Active Directory installation. Suppose you have created file server. So one of the server will be reserved for file server. It means you can create 50 physical servers with different services. But when we talk about finance perspective, let's look at this scenario. Suppose let's take one of the example. You have one physical server. Out of 50, there is a server which has around 72 GB of RAM. I'm talking about server. Only one server out of 50. You have 72 GB of RAM. You have 108 terabyte of SSD, which is hard drive, and you have Intel Xeon processor, because in server we will have Xeon processor. We will not be having i7, i3, i5, i9. Xeon processors are there on server hardware. So suppose this is the configuration of your hardware, of a single hardware. And in total, how many servers you have? You have total 50 devices with the same configuration. And what you are doing, you are running only one services on each and every hardware. For DHCP, just for DHCP, we hardly require very less configuration. Suppose there is one DHCP running on a server. The configuration is this, the physical configuration is this, but you are only using 4 GB of RAM actually. In reality, only 4 GB of RAM is utilized. In storage, only 70 GB is getting utilized. And processor, that is a Xeon processor, and suppose it has 8 cores. But out of 8 cores, you are not utilizing 8 cores completely. You are only utilizing 2 cores. So what about rest? Out of 72, only 4 GB RAM is getting used at a time by DHCP. So what about rest? What about 68 GB RAM that is wasted? Even in your laptop also, if you talk about your personal laptop, just let's talk about my laptop. This is my personal laptop. In my personal laptop, if I check my configuration, if I go to the property here, you can see it is 11th generation i5 processor with 2.4 gigahertz of capacity. It has 16 GB of RAM and it has SSD. How much is the SSD? Let's see. So I have around 500 GB of SSD for 480 GB something. So it is 500 GB of hard disk. So am I using complete 500 GB? No. I only have, see, this space is free. This is free. This is also free. So 500 GB is not getting used properly. But I have paid for 500 GB of hard drive, but I am not using it. In future, maybe I will use, but when I will use, when I will require the data storage. But in case I don't have any data, then what will I do? It is not getting used. Even if I talk about RAM, if I go to my task manager, if I open my task manager, then from here you can see only 26% CPU is getting used. 45% RAM is getting used. What about rest? So that is the wastage of resources. This was the question of the finance team in earlier days. This was the concern. You know, these servers are very costly. Suppose the company has invested 8 lakh rupees to buy a single server with this configuration, because blade servers are very costly. So suppose company has invested 8 lakh rupees to buy a single server with this configuration. It means in order to purchase 50 servers, how much money we will have to pay? I think 4 crore something. 4 crore or what? 40 lakh. 40 lakhs. I am weak in mathematics actually. So 40 lakhs the company have to invest. But am I using 40 lakhs of resources completely? No. Even these servers I have purchased for core services. So far it is clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Everyone?
Yes.
बता
Yes.
देना मेरे को अभी तक का समझ में आया ना? So far it is clear for everyone, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, suppose the engineer, I'm talking about now on-premises scenario, engineer who manages the server administrator. What server administrator says that you have 50 server in the company and you are running different services on each and every hardware. Now, what about redundancy? Redundancy means if my DHCP server goes down, if suppose there is a hardware issue on the DHCP server, on the DHCP hardware, and that goes down, this DHCP is not working now, there is a problem, then what will happen? It is going to impact my production. All the systems who have got the IP from DHCP, that will be out of the network, right? This will happen. If there is any problem
Yes.
on this server,
Yes, sir.
then there will be production impact.
Yes, yes.
If there is any problem in the DNS server, then internet will not work in the company. There is a production impact. So what engineer is saying, engineer says that if you want to maintain the redundancy means if any hardware goes down, because that is a hardware, anything can happen. If any hardware goes down, if any server is down, then it will be offline. It will impact the company. So if you want that company should not get impacted during the downtime scenario, then you will have to buy more servers, more hardwares. Why? Because I will create another copy of DHCP now. I will create one more DHCP. In case my DHCP goes down, I will on another DHCP because I have a backup. Understood?
Yes.
Similar situation is for DNS.
Yes, sir.
I want to buy another hardware. I want to create another copy of DNS because in case DNS is very critical server. If it is getting down, then I should have the redundancy. The server should be running always. Otherwise, it is going to impact the business. So this is what engineer is saying. But who will purchase the hardware in the company? Finance team. And CEO is very particular about the finance. The company owner is very particular about the finance. If you will tell them this reason, this is a valid reason. In actuality, this is a valid reason. If any server goes down, you should have the backup. Otherwise, that will impact the production. So that is a valid reason given by the engineer. But will you purchase 50 physical server? That is again very costly. This was the example of 50 server only. In a big organization, there are 500, 700 of server. So it means you will have to purchase multiple hardware just to create the copy. That is costly. And those copies will only be used when there will be any down. If my DHCP will down, then I will use another DHCP. Otherwise, that will only running. That will be the wastage of money. But we have to do that just to maintain the redundancy. If we will not purchase it, it is going to impact the company during server down. That is a problem. So again, company purchased 50 physical server. Again, they purchased it. But am I using it? No, because I will only use it when there will be any primary server down. And regularly, there is no server down. If it gets down, then I will use. So again, this is wastage, but I have to do it. So even I cannot use my resource completely. Whatever configuration it has, the hardware is not using it properly. DHCP is only utilizing this service, this resource out of complete configuration, and rest of the servers are also doing it. Some servers are using some quantity of RAM, some are using some quantity of cores. So the complete hardware is not getting utilized. Even I have purchased more, that is also not getting utilized. So that is a problem. That was the problem to the finance. That is cost. Now what happened? You might have heard about virtualization. Have you heard about it? Virtualization.
Yes,
Now
sir.
virtualization came in market. Invention got happened. This is before cloud. I'm talking about before cloud. So in earlier days, it was physical infrastructure. This was the problem. Then came the virtualization. Avaya virtualization. Who invented the virtualization in the world? It was VMware. The first virtualization platform in the world. VMware. You might have heard about the name of VMware. Have
Yes,
you
sir.
ever heard about it?
Yes, yes.
VMware.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
Then what is virtualization now? Anyone knows what is virtualization? Any idea? Any rough idea?
To create
You can
another window in the same computer, another window or another OS.
Okay. Anything else? See, since this was the problem, this was the real business problem actually. This was the real example. So virtualization came in the market. Now what virtualization did? Virtualization says that you have 50 server because you want to run 50 different services. Since you want to run different 50 services, that's why you had purchased 50 physical server. But as per the business perspective, this is the configuration that you have purchased on 50 servers, but you are not using it properly. I have shown you the practical even. I have shown you the real scenario. We are not using the proper resources which is available in our system. Even server is also not utilizing it. So all the resources like 68 GB RAM is based in the DHCP. In the 16 cores of CPU, only 2 cores are used. So 14 cores are waste. Only 70 GB storage is used, but we have paid for 108 TB. So what virtualization says, you don't have to purchase 50 servers now because you are not utilizing it properly. So you don't have to purchase it. What you can do, just buy a few of the servers. Suppose they says that only buy 30 servers, 30 physical server. On each and every physical server, this is your configuration. Now what you can do, you can run multiple instances of server in a single hardware. Means what virtualization says, that you have a single hardware. On that single hardware, you can create multiple, you can install multiple operating system. Multiple operating system in the sense, I want to create one DHCP. So I will install Windows Server and I will create DHCP. I want to create DNS. So I will install Linux or Windows Server, whatever I want to install, and I will create DNS. So on a single hardware, on a single machine, I can install multiple instances of operating system and I can run the services. Means for DHCP, I need separate server. For DNS, I needed separate server, but due to virtualization, now it is possible that I can have only one hardware. On a single hardware, I can install multiple services, and those services will be isolated to each other. Isolated to each other means on a single hardware, I have installed Windows Server 2019 and Windows Server 2022. On Windows Server 2019, what I am doing, I am running DHCP, and on Windows Server 2022, I am running my DNS server. And these two are known as virtual machine. Virtual machine means which is not physically existing. On a single hardware, you have installed two operating system. This is called virtual machine, the virtual operating system, the virtual machine. So it is going to do the virtualization. Virtualization means that is not physically existing. So on a single hardware, some of the resources means you have 72 GB of RAM. So what you have done, you have given 30 GB of RAM to Windows Server 2019 and the rest you have given to Windows Server 2022. So what was the rest amount? It was 42 GB. So 42 GB you have given to Windows Server 2022 and 30 GB you have given to 2019. On 2019 you are running DHCP. On 2022 you are running DNS. And these two servers are working on a single hardware. It means now you can perfectly utilize your resources. You can create even more virtual machine in a single hardware and you can utilize it. Now there is no wastage of resources. And these machines are isolated to each other. Isolated means Windows Server 2022 does not know that Windows Server 2019 is also working on this single hardware. They will assume, they both will assume that we are running independently, just like a physical server. But they are not running independently. They are two, and they are running on a single hardware. And what resource they are using? They are using the resources of physical hardware. Whatever RAM is required, we are using out of it. Whatever hard disk is required, we will use from the base machine. Whatever CPU is required, we will use it from base hardware. So that was the concept of virtualization. Now virtualization helped to save the cost to the company, because now we don't have to purchase 50 physical server to run the 50 different services. We will buy 20, 25 or 30 servers, and on these servers we can run multiple services. Means on a single hardware we can run multiple servers. But here the cost is getting less. Somehow we don't have to pay for multiple server. The cost is less. Even the management task is also easy. One engineer is handling one server, another one is handling another server. So management task is also easy. Even the resources are also getting utilized properly. But what is the challenge? The challenge is if my physical server goes down, if there is a problem in this hardware, then on this hardware there are two servers which is running, DHCP and DNS. It means both will be down, both will be impacted. If there is a problem on the hardware, on the real platform, it is going to impact the virtual machines. That was the problem. So again, just to manage the redundancy, we had to purchase copies of the server, so that in case one server goes down, then I should have another backup available. So somehow it is helping us to reduce the cost. But yes, we have to purchase more servers for copy. But again, there is a cost saving. Why there is a cost saving? Earlier we had 50 physical server, and just to manage the copies, just to manage the backup, we had to purchase another 50 server. But here we have 30 physical server, and we only had to purchase 30 copies of physical servers. So we are only paying for 60, and here we were paying for 100 servers. So somehow the cost is still less. So this was the concept of virtualization. Now, who is providing the virtualization facility in the market? So VMware is the leader. It got acquired by Dell company. Now VMware is the part of Dell. Since last 4 to 5 years, Dell has purchased it. Microsoft Hyper-V. This is again one of the leader for virtualization. It is used in the company. When we talk about the on-premises scenario, so in the on-premises scenario, there are physical server, and on those physical server, they are doing the virtualization, because you know the reason why they are doing the virtualization. So it means in the real infrastructure, you will see in the on-premises, they will have a lot of physical server, and on those physical server, they are running the virtualization platform. And in order to run the virtualization platform, we have to use the hypervisors. And what are the hypervisors? So hypervisor is the operating system that gives you the platform to create the virtualization. And VMware has its hypervisor. Microsoft has its hypervisor. The name of VMware hypervisor is ESXi and vCenter. This is the name of VMware hypervisor. And the name of Microsoft hypervisor is Hyper-V. The VMware that you might have used during your personal laptop practical, that is VMware Workstation. And Oracle VirtualBox, I think you have used this one, right?
Yes, sir.
That is not used in the company. That is for personal practical only.
Yes, sir.
VMware Workstation and Oracle VirtualBox is only for the personal laptop practical. In the real company, what they use EXXi of VMware, that is command based. It looks like this. This is the console. This one. This is the actual VMware which is used in the company. So it is command based. It looks like Linux. So this is used to create the virtualization platform. They don't use the VMware Workstation and Oracle VirtualBox. So this is the product of your VMware EXSI, and Hyper-V of Microsoft looks like this. This is Hyper-V console, this one. So this will be based on Windows. It is the console of Hyper-V, this one on Windows Server. But mostly company prefers VMware because it is compatible with Linux, it is compatible with the Mac, it is compatible with Windows as well. But Hyper-V is more centric to Windows. It does not support Linux. So that's the reason mostly company uses VMware in their on-premises environment. And now the story begins. Earlier days, it was physical server. Then on physical server, we have created the virtualization and we are running it for so many years. But again, there was the challenge in the virtualization because although that is creating multiple server on a single hardware, but that's a physical hardware. There is a capacity. There was the limitation. These are the limitation that we had discussed in our classes. These are the limitation. We have to do this, that, jo bhi hai. These are the limitation. That's why cloud invented. That's the reason cloud came in market, because now there is a cost in physical server. There is a cost in virtualization as well. Maintenance charges, ye charges, what charges. So there are a lot of things. There are a lot of capital expenditure, operational expenditure. There was a lot of challenge. That's the reason cloud came. So cloud came after virtualization. After virtualization, cloud came in market. So physical, virtual, then cloud. And even after cloud, there are containers. On cloud, there is also containers. It is for software developer. It is for DevOps team. We will discuss that later on during our sessions. So this is now the current scenario. That's the reason cloud came. Now, cloud is a public cloud platform, just like we discussed. It allows you the facility to access the resources from the internet from cloud service provider, AWS Azure. You can access the services, whatever you need, you can create, you can access on rental basis. Now, what is private cloud? This is the second type of cloud. So what is private cloud? This is the private cloud. Virtualization platform is private cloud actually. Means, suppose I am a company, I am Wipro, I am not on public cloud, I am not on AWS, I am not on Azure, I am not on GCP. I have my on-premises infrastructure. In my on-premises infrastructure, I have a lot of physical servers. In order to save the cost, what I have done, I have created the virtualization setup so that I can save the cost on physical hardware. So I have a lot of physical servers with virtualization capability, with virtualization. And what I can do now, you might have done your practical during the OJT sessions that in the virtualization, we can increase or decrease the RAM. Just like in the console, this is my Oracle VM virtual box. If you are using VMware workstation, Hyper-V, whatever you are using, so we can change the current configuration. Just like here, I have one of the operating system installed, and if I want to change the configuration, I can do it anytime from the console. I have that option available. See, I can add the resources, I can change it. Even in VMware, you have seen that. If you want to increase the RAM, you can do it from the setting. If you want to decrease the RAM, you can do it. So these kind of facilities available in this particular virtualization platform. Anytime you can change or modify the resources. Now there is a limitation actually. Suppose I have total 72 GB of RAM on my physical hardware. I have given suppose 32 GB to my Windows Server 2019, which is running on this hardware. And I have given 42 GB to my Windows Server 2022, which is running on this hardware. It means total 72 GB has been used. I have used it. Now, in case, because this is a virtualization platform, so what I can do is, in case I want to reduce this RAM, I want to make it 25 GB, I can do it because I am on virtual platform. And rest of the RAM, what is rest of the RAM? 5 GB. So rest 5 GB if you want to allocate to this server, because this is critical. It needs more resources, so you can add it. So this is possible in the virtualization, but in case I need around 90 GB of RAM, to be allocated to this server. I want to allocate 90 GB of RAM to this server. I cannot do that because in total I have only 72 GB of RAM, and out of 72, 25 GB is already allocated to DSCP. So rest I have only 47 GB of RAM and I need 90 GB. And in order to fulfill this requirement, what I have to do, again, I will have to purchase the RAM from the market. Then the RAM will come. I will have to pay the money. RAM is going to take some time. We have to wait for 10 days, 15 days, or 20 days. Then the RAM will come. Then I have to install this RAM on the physical server. In order to install it, I will have to shut down the server. Means I will have to decide a window. I cannot shut it down during the live scenario. So I will have to take the time again. Then I will install the RAM. Then I will reconfigure it. So again, this is a challenge. So this is called private cloud concept. In the private cloud concept, what happens is the organization has created their on-premises infrastructure in the virtualization platform. They are using the virtualization. With the help of virtualization, whenever they need, they can increase or decrease the resources. If they want to increase the RAM, they can do it. If they want to decrease the RAM, they can do it. But there is a limitation. The limitation is the maximum capacity that I have on my physical server. I can only modify my hardware accordingly. I cannot use more than 72 GB of RAM in case I don't have. I will have to purchase it from the market. So that is a problem. So this is called private cloud. So in the private cloud, what company does? Company will create their own infrastructure, which is called on-premises, which is on your virtualization platform, and they will allow you the facility to access the servers which is hosted in your environment through the LAN connection, through the remote management. So that is called private cloud. In the private cloud, the entire control is with the company, because this is my infrastructure. This is hosted in Wipro. So I am the owner of it. Wipro is going to manage the complete setup. Wipro engineers will take care of it. Whatever patches, whatever maintenance I have to do, that will be handled by the Wipro only. That will not handled by the AWS, because AWS is a public cloud. So in the private cloud, the current scenario, the on-premises scenario plus virtualization will be there, and it will be managed by the company. Only company can access it. Means I have 10 branches of Wipro in India. So this setup can be accessed within 10 sites, within 10 branches. But if I have a public cloud environment, so I can access the public cloud from anywhere in the world by using the internet connection. But I cannot access my company environment everywhere in the world by using internet, because that will be restricted. So that is private cloud. So private cloud is nothing but a traditional infrastructure with virtualization platform. So here you can see in the definition, private cloud is a model of cloud computing where the infrastructure is dedicated to a single company, single organization. A private cloud can be hosted on organization's own data center. Means this is your own data center. This is your physical infrastructure, and it will not offer you the multi-tenant cloud infrastructure. Means you cannot access it from anywhere. In this kind of cloud, in this kind of private cloud, the end company, means the company who is managing the infrastructure, they would be responsible for everything. And this is a traditional on-premises infrastructure. Whatever maintenance, whatever upgrades, whatever patches has to be done, that is the responsibility of company, not cloud vendor, because here there is no cloud vendor. This is the on-premises scenario with virtualization. What are the examples of private cloud? So VMware EXSI is one of the private cloud. Microsoft Hyper-V is a private cloud. Means from this software you can create the virtualization. And since this is creating the virtualization in your own company, that's why it is known as private cloud software. Then Tanzu. Tanzu is again one of the software of VMware has invented this. So nowadays, since last 2 years, this is very famous in the market for on-premises scenario. OpenShift, this is also a example of private cloud. It is created by Red Hat Enterprise Linux, the RHEL. It is a Linux product. OpenStack is also one of the private cloud, and it is created by Linux. So the company who are operating their on-premises infrastructure through virtualization platform, they are known as private clouds infrastructure. And they will use these kind of softwares to create the virtualization. So that's the private cloud. So AWS is not a private cloud. Azure is not a private cloud. GCP is not a private cloud. Who they are? They are the public cloud. They are the different organization who are giving us the services on rent. Private cloud means my own infrastructure. Understood? So there is nothing like a private cloud. Private cloud is equal to virtualization with on-premises. That's the private cloud. So before the public cloud, it means before this, there was private cloud. The virtualization was private cloud example in the on-premises setup. After private cloud, public cloud came into picture. The AWS came into market. That was private. That was public cloud. Understood? Any doubt? In the starting, there are a lot of theory. Like in these two classes, there are a lot of theory because you are just making your base that what is actually cloud. Before jumping to the practical, you are now knowing actually what cloud is. So that's the reason there are a lot of theory, but it is still today only. Now the practicals will be started because we will cover it today. So there will be no public, private and hybrid concept from the next session. There will be direct practicals. So now this is the second type of cloud. Public is clear, private is clear. Now come to hybrid. This is the third one, hybrid. Now what is hybrid? It is very interesting actually. This is the reality of the market. See, when we talk about hybrid cloud, so what happens is, let's take an example. You are HCL. You are in HCL. This is your on-premises infrastructure. Let's talk about on-prem. In the on-prem, you have physical servers, you have virtualization enabled. Now what you have decided that you want to migrate, you want to move your infrastructure to AWS. This is cloud. You want to move the on-premises to cloud, to AWS. This is what you have decided. Now, it is not something that we have decided and we would be able to do it. There are some planning that we will have to do. Suppose on the on-premises, HCL is running 2000 servers in India. Suppose they have 2000 servers in India. It is not very easy to migrate everything to cloud on the spot. It takes time. It takes time. You will have to do the planning. You will have to think about the budget, how you are going to do it. You will have to decide the deadline, because if you will directly do it, then it is going to impact your company. Your servers will be down during the transfer. During the migration, your servers will be down. So you will have to plan that you will not do 2000 migration on the spot. You will do it in group wise, 5, 10, you will migrate first, then another 5, 10, you will migrate. So that is something about the planning. Now, what company has decided that I will host some of the services on AWS. I will transfer some of the services to AWS because they are offering us the economical price. There is a cheap price. So I will transfer some of the services on cloud, but I'm not completely trusting on cloud. I don't trust cloud completely. I have some doubt. So what I will do, I will host my database. Database is very critical. It has data. So what I will do, I will host my database in on-premises, means in my control. Because when we talk about on-premises, it means infrastructure is in company control. Infrastructure is in your physical location. So I will create some of the servers in my on-premises, just like my database, I will keep on-premises. Rest of the servers I will create on AWS. Now this kind of infrastructure, when you have on-premises plus cloud involved, this is called hybrid. So this is somehow the business decision. Now, sometime suppose HCL has decided that I will completely migrate my data center to AWS. I will not keep anything physical. But they will have to understand the compliance part. Compliance part means, suppose they have a project, because every MNC are working on project. Suppose they have a project from a US based medical company. They have a project from a US based medical company. As per the US law, what HCL is doing, HCL is supporting that US based medical company regarding their IT services. Whenever there is any IT issue, HCL is managing that. And that company is there in US. Now, as per the US country law, as per the regulation of US country, if any business is a medical business, if anyone is operating a medical business, then the data of the patient, because patient data is a very critical thing. So the data of patient cannot be hosted on cloud. That is their rule. That is their legal regulation. Because what you are doing in the cloud, you are hosting your services to different company. You are hosting your services in AWS. AWS is Amazon. That is a different company. You are Wipro. You are a different company. So as per the US regulation, if any company, just like hospital, the pharma organization, the medical insurance companies, they cannot keep their database on any type of cloud, whether it is AWS, Azure, GCP, or whatever. They cannot keep it. So they will have to keep their database on premises. This is a standard. Rest of the thing can be on cloud. Your DHCP server, your DNS server, Samba server, user control management system, whatever server you have, that can be on cloud, but database where the patient data is residing, patient database cannot be saved on cloud. This is their law, and that law is known as HIPAA. This is called HIPAA standard. And you will have to follow that. So HCL is supporting that hospital in the US. So if HCL decide that I want to migrate that company's complete data to AWS, they still cannot do it, because as per the US regulation, you cannot migrate the database of patient on any kind of cloud. So you will have to keep the database on premises. Rest of the services migrate on cloud. So if this is kind of environment, if you have on premises as well, and you have some resources on cloud as well, that is called hybrid environment. Means the combination of two or more. Hybrid. Hybrid means combination of two or more. So if you have the involvement of on premises and cloud, that is called hybrid environment. Even let's take another scenario. There are some software which is very old. That is our own software. Suppose I am Microsoft. Let's take an example. I am Microsoft. I have some application that I have created in very earlier days, just like MS Office. MS Office is very old application. I'm just giving the example. They are still on cloud. So MS Office is my very old application. I am using it on premises. The server is hosted on premises. And these application is not compatible to work on AWS, Azure, whatever. It will not work on any cloud, because this is legacy. This is called legacy application. In technical term, it is called legacy. Legacy means very old. very old application that is not compatible to work on the cloud platform. Even these kind of software exist, and I don't want to move it. I need this software just to run my business. This is my custom software. I will use it. I cannot change it to another software. I want to have it. So since this is not compatible to work on AWS or any cloud, so what I will do, I will keep it on premises, on the on-premises server, and rest of the servers I will transfer on cloud. So again, here the on-premises plus AWS is involved. So that is known as hybrid cloud, combination of two or more. Now let's take third scenario. In the third scenario, we have some resources on premises and we have decided that we will host rest of the resources on AWS. So this is what? Hybrid. Now in future, I have decided that I will also use Azure. My company will also use Azure for some of the services because I have Windows Server as well. I have a lot of Windows Server and Microsoft is offering me the discount because Azure is their product. So Microsoft is saying that you have 200 Windows Server. So use our Azure. We will offer you discount. So some services are in cheap prices in Azure and some services are in cheap in AWS. So what my company has decided, I have decided that I will use some of the infrastructure on AWS, which is offering me the cheap prices, and some of the services which is costly on AWS, I will use it on Azure in the less price. So I want to use combination of cloud. I want to use multiple cloud in the company. So this kind of concept is called multi-tenancy model. When a company is using multiple cloud in a single company, that is called multi-tenancy model. And since here you can see the on-premises is also involved, multiple cloud is also involved, again that is called hybrid cloud. Understood? Just write down this word. This is very important, multi-tenancy. If you get placed in an organization where there is multiple cloud environment, then that is called multi-tenancy project. And in that company, there is a team for AWS and there will be a team of Azure as well. There will be Azure engineer, there will be AWS engineer as well. In order to manage AWS, there will be AWS. In order to manage Azure, there will be Azure engineer. And in some company, there will be some very senior person who know both the cloud and they will manage both on the higher level. On the level 3 level, on the level 4 level, if any issue comes on these cloud, then the senior person is going to manage. So that person knows both cloud, or even they know third cloud also, GCP also. Just like me, I am handling both in my company. I handle AWS and Azure on real scenario because my company has a lot of project on multi-tenancy model. We have a lot of cloud environment. So that's the reason I also know Azure, because I'm working on both in the real scenario. So this is called multi-tenancy, and this is the concept of hybrid cloud computing. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt? So it means once you will go to the company, once you will be placed as a cloud administrator, so either they are using the complete public cloud or there may be the hybrid infrastructure. There will be some infrastructure on premises, some will be there on cloud. So that is called hybrid infrastructure. So in the hybrid infrastructure, the cloud administrator who is managing the cloud environment, that person will be responsible for managing the cloud account, which is AWS, and the on-premises scenario will be managed by the on-premises engineer, just like network engineer, server engineer, Wintel administrator. So there will be team. There will be on-premises as well. There will be cloud engineer as well. So you will see the combination in most of the company. And that is the actual scenario of company. So you will be hired to manage the cloud, but there will be some engineers who will also be managing the on-premises. So there will be combination. You will not be managing the on-premises because you don't know about it. You are experienced in cloud. That's it. And there will be some company which is completely on cloud. They will not be having any on-premises setup. They are completely on cloud. And private cloud means the on-premises. So the company which is not on any cloud, which is not using AWS, Azure, GCP, they are called private cloud environment company because they are using the virtualization. They may be using VMware, they may be using Hyper-V or any of this. So those companies are using private cloud infra. They are not using public cloud. So you will get the job in public cloud environment. You will be managing the public cloud environment in company. There can be hybrid setup, there can be direct public setup, but your job will be limited to manage the cloud portal. You will be managing the cloud setup, not on premises. There will be different engineer for on premises. Now you know when the on premises can be there, when hybrid can be there, because of some legacy application, because of some services, or because of some compliance regulation, just like HIPAA standard. In the HIPAA standard, we cannot host our database on any cloud. So we will have to keep it on premises. So if that is the business, if that is the kind of company, we will have to use hybrid environment. Clear?
Right.
Any doubt?
सर ऑन
The
प्रेमिस
only
यूनिट
मेडिकल डाटा को छोड़ के बाकी सारे क्लाउड में से
No,
और rest
the government organization as well. Government
financial sector.
organization, suppose there is a government organization, Indian Air Force. Indian Air Force cannot host their database on cloud because cloud is a third party. Suppose you host Indian Air Force of Indian Navy. Suppose Indian Air Force host their database on AWS. So AWS is US organization. There can be chances that the data may get compromised, although they are giving the guarantee, but we cannot trust anyone. Facebook has also leaked the data, right? So we cannot trust anyone. So the government agency don't trust the cloud vendor for their database. They will host rest of the servers on cloud, but they will not host their database on cloud environment. They will keep it on premises. The military agency of any country, the defense of any country in the world, the navy, the army, the militants, the governments, they are not going to host their database on cloud. They don't trust.
Banking sector.
Banking sectors are keeping their data on the cloud, but not completely. There are some critical data regarding the finance. They have hybrid environment. That's the reason most of the company have hybrid environment, because the company who says that we will not host our complete database on cloud environment, we will only host the servers, but critical data, we are not going to host it. So they will have the hybrid environment. Okay.
So it is about the data safety mainly.
Yes, you can say.
Yes, security purpose.
Yes, right. Although they are saying that we are suppose they are saying that we are secure, even they are going to sign a contract with you, but you cannot rely. Suppose there is a war, there is a world war between US and India. So do you think that this kind of contract is going to work then?
No.
They will reveal the data of Indian Army. There is a spatial data. Suppose in the spatial documentary, it is written that India is going to attack Pakistan in 2 days. That is in the database. And if US has the control of it, so they will reveal it with some money. Yes. So that is something that is a security concern for the country. So that's the reason the government organization is not going to host their database server on the cloud. Even most of the company who have very critical database as per the standard, they are not going to host it on cloud. So they will have hybrid environment that time. That kind of environment is hybrid. Some of the data will be there on cloud, some will be there on
premises.
Sir, is it hackable or not?
What?
The cloud, AWS cloud is hackable or not?
Everything can be hacked in the world. Cloud can also be hacked.
Okay.
Even the private scenario can also be hacked. AIMS server got hacked. AIMS is not on cloud. You might have heard about the name about the story of AIMS. AIMS is not on cloud environment. They are on premises. Still someone hacked AIMS for 15 days. So if you have the power, if hacker has the power, hacker can hack anyone, whether it is
Anyone,
cloud,
anything.
whether it is on premises. Government agencies also get leaked. Their data also get compromised. So nothing is secure in this technology world. In
Even
the cyber
NASA's
space,
data
nothing
is
is
once
secure.
also hacked.
Yes. So in the cyber world, nothing is secure. Cyber world means internet world. Cyber means internet space. So this was the story of cloud computing. These are the three types of cloud: public, private, hybrid. Now there is a useless kind of cloud also, which is called community. Very useless. Not, it doesn't have any existence in the market. It is just a name. What is community cloud? See, this was just a college project, but let me tell you what is this. So in the community cloud, suppose you are Wipro. Wipro has tie up with HCL. Just let's take an example of bank. Suppose there is a Punjab National Bank. Every bank have their tie-ups. Suppose PNB has tie-up with the State Bank of India. Then it has the tie-up with the Karnataka Bank. So every bank have tie-up. Now these three banks have decided that we are going to create our infrastructure. We will invest the money and we will create a IT infrastructure, and that infrastructure will be on premises, and we will use the virtualization, and PNB, SBI and Karnataka can access that IT infrastructure in a shared model. We will share that. We will use our money to create that infra. PNB will allocate some money, SBI will use some money, Karnataka Bank will invest some money, and we will create a massive data center, and we will use that in a sharing model. So they simply mean they are going to create a on-premise with virtualization. Let me mute you all. I can hear some background noise. Now it is good. So these companies are saying we will, in partnership, we will create a infrastructure and we will access that across our company. Only PNB, SBI and Karnataka Bank will have access to it. So that will be the on-prem infrastructure. Whatever changes has to be done, we will invest our money. That is only limited to these three organizations. So that will be a virtualized on-premise infrastructure, means that will be a private cloud infrastructure. But since here three different companies are investing in an environment, three companies are involved, or maybe four companies are involved, 10 companies are involved. So that kind of cloud is known as community cloud. So in the community cloud, multiple companies will invest their money in order to create the IT infrastructure, and only those companies are going to access that infrastructure. So that is community cloud. In the real scenario, in the real production scenario, there is nothing like a community cloud. It was a college project. That's why this kind of concept got invented. Some of the students have created their own private infrastructure just for a big project in the US. So the name happened community cloud. But in the real scenario, there is nothing like community cloud. There will be hybrid cloud, there will be private cloud, there will be public cloud only. But yes, this is a type of cloud. That's why I have told you. But in reality, there are three types of cloud: public, private, and hybrid. Understood? Any doubt?
Yes.
So this was the cloud computing concept. Here we have learned these kind of things. Now we know what is the traditional scenario, what is on-prem, why everyone is crazy about cloud, what are the benefit of cloud, who are the market players in cloud. We know the name of multiple public cloud vendors. Now we know what is public, private, and hybrid cloud. We are also aware about IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS services, and why everyone is preferring AWS as a cloud solution. So that reason is already clear to you, because AWS is the first leader in the market. It is mostly centric to the open source community, especially for Linux. It is good. It has first mover advantage. It was the first cloud in the world. That's why it has a lot of share. It is compatible with any kind of platform. It can integrate with mobile app. It can integrate with clusters very easily. It has more feature as compared to any cloud service provider. Why it has more feature? Because it is an old cloud. So whenever the new cloud will come in the market, it will improve because of the first mover advantage. It offers very economical prices because it is very old cloud. It has a lot of improvements. That's why it can offer you the prices in cheap rates. So that's why it has got first preference. The second one is Azure. That's the reason AWS is still very good. And we will now focus on AWS. Now the story of AWS begins. We will do our solution architect associate in AWS. Then, as I have told you, there will be Linux, there will be Windows Server, there will be Terraform, there will be live production issues and their troubleshooting. What kind of issue comes in the company? Once you will get placed as an engineer, what kind of questions will be asked in the interview? How you are going to troubleshoot that? How you are going to give the answers? That will be covered. So that is our entire curriculum. That is something we have to do. Now, before working on the AWS, we all have to create the account on the AWS portal. Because since it is a public cloud platform, so how it provides the services? It provides the services via internet through its portal. Every public cloud vendor has its portal. Azure has its portal, AWS has its portal, GCP has its portal. Through that portal, by using the internet, you can use the services. In order to use the services, there is a subscription. We will not discuss about subscription today. Let me tell you how to create the portal first. So just go to your browser, just go to Google. Here you can simply type AWS free account or AWS free tier account. Free tier account means it is for students, it is for professionals who want to do their practical, who want to learn the AWS. So in order to learn the AWS is offering a free tier account, which is valid for 1 year. There is a 1 year free trial subscription. You can use this account in order to do your complete practical. It will have complete access. In Azure, in order to use the Azure services, for the people who are learning the Azure cloud, Azure, Microsoft also offers the free account, but that is valid for 1 month. For 1 month, Azure offers the free account facility. Anyone is learning Azure and they want to use it for free, they can use it for 1 month. In AWS, it is free for 1 year. In GCP, it is free for 1 month. So every cloud has their different timeline. So since we are learning AWS, so we can create the account and we can use it for 1 complete year. After that, if you want to continue with the same account, you can upgrade it. What is the upgradation procedure? What are the types of upgrade? We will discuss that. Gradually, we are going to discuss that. Now, what you have to do before the AWS practical, just create your account. So just go to the Google and you will have to search AWS free tier account. Enter. This is the link. Amazon Web Services, get a free tier account. Just click on this. And here you will click on create a free account. You will click on this option. Then in the root user email address, you have to give your email ID. It can be your Gmail address. So you can give your Gmail ID. Then in the account name, you can type any account name, just like you can also give your name. You can type it as personal practical. You can type any company name. So whatever name you want to give to this account, you can type. Even you can also give your pet name. In the real company, here the name of real domain will come. In your free tier account, because it is you are using this account for your own practical, just for own learning. So you can choose any name. You can give any name. Just type anything. Here, give your email ID, Gmail ID, Yahoo ID, whatever you have, just give it. Then you have to click on verify email address. Once you will click on verify email address, then a verification link will go to your email address that you have entered here. Just go to your email ID. There will be a code. Enter that code. You will see rest of the option. Like it will ask you username means your name. It will ask you to create a password. It will ask you to enter the debit or credit card information. For every cloud, whatever cloud you are using, you will have to give the card verification detail. So in AWS, you can use debit card as well, credit card as well. In Azure also, you can use debit and credit card. So once you will use the card for authorization, AWS will deduct 2 rupees from your bank, and it will be refunded back within 15 days just for the authorization, whether the card is working or not, whether you are the actual user or not. It is going to deduct 2 rupees from your account. So just be ready for 2 rupees. Don't worry, it will be refunded back in 15 days. In Azure also, they deduct 2 rupees for verification. So this is something like you will enter your card detail, and then it will ask you to create the password and all. Then the account will be created. Since I already have one of the account, that's why I'm not creating it. You guys will have to create your account. In case you face any problem, then I am here. I will guide you if you stuck somewhere. So just go to this link, create the free trial account, use your card. Don't worry, the card will not be used. It is just for the verification. Nobody is going to charge the money. Only 2 rupees will be used. So you have to create the account. Once the account is created, how it looks like. So let me sign in. So I'm signing in with my account. This is my email ID. I have created it temporarily. This is my temporary email ID. And the password here is, I'm not telling you.
Sir, there is another payment method.
Debit card and credit card only.
Okay.
Only these two will be accepted. If your card is not accepted, go to your mobile banking app, and from there you will have to make sure that international transaction is enabled, because AWS is a US organization. So international transaction should be enabled. This is the AWS account, this one. Once your account will be created, so it will look like this. This is the interface. Here you can see AWS. This is the name that you will give. During the account creation, I have told you that you have to give a name. The name that you, this is redirecting me to the verification page for my account because I am already logged in. That's why the name that you will give during the account creation that I was telling you, that is this name. So I had given prod environment. So that's why this name is coming. You can give any name during the account creation. So this is the by default dashboard. Here you can see if I click on this option, there is account ID. So this is the account ID. We will discuss about this in the next class. This is called subscription ID. Through this, the billing will happen to the company. Then in the account, if you click on account, then here you can see the different service, like different account details, like my billing details, you can say. So this is also one of the free tier account. I have created this free tier account for the practical because it is free for 1 year. That's why I have created it. So I am not going to reveal my mobile number. My mobile number is listed here. So I'm not revealing. So we will discuss about these features: billing information, the dashboard, the budget, the free tier, billing conductor, everything will be discussed. Then we have to discuss this region also. It is somehow slow today. So we will discuss the region also. What is this region? what are the benefits of this. Then this is the cloud shell. This is the AWS cloud shell. Through this, you can create the resources via command. In case you don't want to use the graphical user interface, then you will use it in command method. So I'm facing some issue with this account because I created in 2 days back. This is a new account. My earlier account got expired. So I'm not upgrading it to the paid subscription. That's why I've created a new account with a new card. So it will take around 24 hours to fix it. I have reported it to AWS. So don't worry about it. So once you will create your account, this is going to be your dashboard. And in the services, you can see a lot of services. These all are the AWS service: database service, container service, compute service, business application, blockchain, cost management, AR, VR, application integration, analytics, front user computing, front end web, mobile, machine learning, so robotics, satellite. A lot of things are here, but we don't have to learn everything because depending upon the course, it is designed. The person who are doing the AWS in machine learning, in the first session, I have told you there are different certification. So for the people who are doing AWS specialty in machine learning, this option is for those people. The developer who are doing the AWS developer certification, these some options are for those people. So since we are the part of solution architect team in infrastructure, so we will be using the infrastructure and PaaS services. And we will start our journey with the compute, means virtualization, server creation. So we will start our journey with EC2. The practical scenario, we will start with EC2. We will learn about batch also. We will learn about image builder. This one is also in our curriculum, Lambda, Lightsail. This is also in our curriculum. This is not there. This is for professional architect level training. So whatever we will learn, we will do it gradually. I think you all have the syllabus, right? Do you all have the syllabus?
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
So that is the syllabus that we are going to cover. In case you don't have, then I will also share it with Anamika. So you will get it by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, you will get the recording of these two video, means Saturday class and today's class, along with the notes that we have covered. Means I will share this PPT also with you so that in future you will have the understanding that what is this, what is that, because you will need it. So I will share the notes across it and this video. This is the Azure portal. Let me show you Azure, how it looks like. So I have the paid account of Azure because as I have told you, Azure is valid for 1 month only. So I have the paid account for this. I pay for it. Every month there is a billing. So I pay to the Microsoft because I have to do a lot of practicals for my company, just for my own learning, just to upgrade myself. I have to do a lot of practicals on Azure as well because I'm managing both the cloud. So AWS is good. It is free for 1 year. So I don't have to create the paid account. But in Azure, I have to create the paid account. Even for training also, I should have one of the accounts. So this is my personal paid account. And how much I pay. So every month there is a billing. This is Azure console. Azure portal is like this and AWS portal is like this. This is Azure portal. So as Microsoft is good for best user interface, that's why it is user friendly. That's why it is looking like window. So last month I have paid 176 rupee for the month of January. In the February, I paid it. On 8th of February, the bill got generated and I had paid 176 rupees. Before that, I had paid around 480 rupees. So every month there is a different bill. This month, I am expecting 871 rupees this month. So this kind of facility is also there in AWS. We will discuss that in our journey because we are using the cloud services. It means whatever we will use, we will pay for it. This is called pay as you go model. So this is my paid account. Here you can see pay as you go. This is not a free account. So I have both the account. We will be using AWS because we are the AWS engineers. So let it sign out. But I wanted to show you the portal. That's why I have opened it, how the interface looks like in AWS and Azure. So for the next class, create the account. It is very easy. Just create a AWS free tier account. Just log in into that, and if it is successfully created, then on Saturday we have the doubt session, so we can discuss. If you face any problem in the account creation, you can discuss with me. I will take the control of your screen, then we can solve it. Then we will start our compute EC2, the virtual servers. So that is
सर
something
एक
we will
डाउट है
start. Yes.
सर कंपनी लैपटॉप में हम ये कर सकते हैं क्या
If there is no restriction, you can do that. If the
Uh,
company has allowed the restriction, you cannot.
नो मैंने एक्चुअली आईबीएम में जॉब कर रहा है एक्चुअली एवरी साइट ओपन हो रहा है कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है बाकी कुछ उन लोगों को पता चलेगा क्या मैं क्या कर रहा
No,
है
no,
क्या
no, no, no. They nothing. If you are using AWS, see, this is a free account. You are using it for your own learning. You are not using any company account, so this is not going to impact. If they have allowed it, just check it. Just try to create the account. If you can log in, it means it is allowed. If you are not able to log in, it means there are restrictions, so you cannot use them.
ओके
But in the most of the company, it is allowed. Every cloud URL is allowed. Even in my official laptop, the laptop that is given to me by the company, I can access my portal. That is allowed, because I am not accessing any company portal. That is my own portal, just for my own knowledge. But yes, it depends upon company to company. Every company have different policy, so you can check. You can try to log in. If it is allowing you to log in, it means it is accessible.
ओके ओके
Okay.
थैंक यू
So this is how you will have to create your AWS account. And in the next session, we will start with our practical. One more thing I wanted to discuss. There will be some time changes on Saturday. On Sunday, it will be fixed at 8 p.m. at night. But on Saturday, there can be some time changes. So just let me know, apart from 8 p.m. at night on Saturday only, what time is suitable for you? Will you be available at afternoon or morning or evening?
Sir, I have only 8 p.m. time.
इवनिंग
No,
ओनली सर
evening means what time?
Evening.
6
7 to 9 or 7 to 10.
7 to 9, 7 to 10. And what about morning?
नो मॉर्निंग सर नॉट अवेलेबल
Morning is doing.
मॉर्निंग इज टू डिफिकल्ट टू
And
जॉइन
after
क्लास
afternoon?
आफ्टरनून आल्सो सेम
Why you are in
Afternoon,
office,
sir,
right?
available, sir.
ये टू मेनी
O'clock it's
Okay, no issues. You will get the information from Namika regarding the timing. If we cannot manage the time changes, then it will be on 8 p.m. on Saturday. Otherwise, you will get the notification from Namika. I think most of you are not comfortable in afternoon. Then we will try to keep it on same timing on Saturday, 8 p.m.
श्योर श्योर
Then
Yeah.
I will check
Yes,
with
sir, sure.
Anamika and I will get the timing changes. But in case if there will be any changes, so I think you are not comfortable in evening, right? ये कौन है
Yes, sir.
भाई?
Yeah.
So
They are comfortable in
any time is not comfortable apart from 8, right?
यस यस
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I will discuss with Anamika then about this.
Can
Okay.
you try for 7 p.m.?
7 p.m. I can try, but again, I was thinking that it should be either in morning or it should be in afternoon or evening, like at 4, 3, 2, 1, morning 10, morning 11, afternoon 12. But if
सर
it is
नाइट
not,
टाइम इज
We're
कंफर्टेबल
having office actually rotational shifts in
oh,
Saturday
okay,
also
okay.
we are having office.
Okay, no issues. Then I will discuss with Anamika. Then we will try to keep the same timing on Saturday as well. For
श्योर
Sunday, it
श्योर
will be 8. And for Saturday, we will also try to keep this on same timing. Okay. So you will
श्योर
get the
सर
information by Thursday or Friday. And tomorrow, you will get the recording. By afternoon, you will get the recording of these 2 sessions along with the notes via Google Drive link. So Anamika is going to share it with you. Okay.
श्योर सर
Sure, sir. Thank you.
So thank you very much for your time. From the next session, just be ready with the AWS account. On Saturday, there will be doubt session. You can come up with your all the doubts, whatever we have learned in these 2 classes, you can come with the doubts. We will take it. and on Sunday we can start with our stuffs. That's all. Okay.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your time. Yes.
Thank you,
Have
sir.
a good
Thank you,
night.
sir.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night, sir.